Welcome, everybody, to Gospel Talks podcast, where we help Christians all over the world become more effective in relational evangelism and discipleship. My name is George Binoca, and what we're going to be doing this week in a two-part series is pretty unique. Pastor Jeff Musgrave got to do an interview with some folks from Castleview Baptist Church, and that is one of our partnering ministries. They support and donate funds to make what the exchange does possible. And they have an interview with Pastor Jeff where they've just talked about compassion, clarity, and evangelism, especially those two spokes of the approach in the exchange. And so we're excited to present those to you here on the podcast. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it in two parts because it's a lengthy, long-form interview. And I'm going to introduce and I'm going to conclude each episode. And if you guys have any questions or anything you'd love to see answered, please always feel free to email me at george@exchangemessage.org. Don't forget to check out our resources on our website. We hope you guys enjoy this episode.
61% of unbelievers answered this question. If a friend asked you to study the Bible with them, what would you say? 61% said yes. Of the 30 and above, 42% said yes. And I just think there are more people who are open.
Well, good morning, Castleview. Good to see you again here on the Castleview Baptist Podcast. I have a very special friend today. His name is Jeff Musgrave, and many in this area would know you as Pastor Jeff Musgrave. Thanks for being on, first of all, today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate you being here today. You got to tell me, we've known each other. I think we met when we were looking at the area to start. Do you remember that? I think we were going to start the church. We were thinking about it. It would have been maybe 2008, early before the church started. I think we came up to a service.
Yeah, you've been in our church, and we were involved in getting the church started. It's been exciting to us to watch the process down through the years. You've done a great job here.
Well, we were always encouraged by you all because you did it up there. You started Highlands Baptist Church up in it's actually in Highlands Ranch, isn't it?
Well, it's just on the north side. It's not actually in the city or the area of Highlands Ranch, but it's called Highlands Baptist Church.
Highlands Baptist Church. How'd you get there? Did you always, was that something that you always wanted to, did you see yourself as a church planter?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. When I was in college, I traveled on a ministry team from our school, and 10 of the churches that we were in for the summer were church planting churches up in New England. Mm-hmm. And God just really stirred my heart and said, that's what I want to do. I want to start a church. I actually told people I was going to New England to start a church.
Is that right?
It just took a little bit too much of what I thought God was saying. But in the process, Ed Nelson, who both you and I are very, very close to, Anna grew up in that church, and he had mentioned to me just almost in passing, you ought to come out here and start a church. Mm. And so one day after I graduated from undergrad, I called him and I said, what were you thinking? Let's talk about this. And he said, well, you finish your grad degree and we'll make it happen. And so literally he prepared. We became members of South Sheridan Baptist Church and was a church plant from South Sheridan. And so that his goal was that we would start a church that would be a church planting center.
Sure.
And so Highlands actually has started 4 other churches besides Highlands.
I love that.
And it was really, really our focus. We thought that was life. We didn't know there was going to be any other life after Highlands.
Yeah. What was it about church planting that appealed to you? I never thought about church planting. I was in college. We traveled for a couple of years for Pensacola Christian. Went to be a youth pastor in North Carolina, and we knew our time there was coming to a close. We were there for 6 years. And I got away to pray about next steps, and the Lord started putting on my heart church planting. Yeah. I had never thought about it before. What was it that that kind of attracted you to it? You saw those church plants up in New England.
It was actually pretty exciting to me because with 10 different church plants in a summer, we saw different stratas of growth. And we were in a church that met in a bowling alley. It just, there was something exciting about carving something out of nothing.
Yes.
That I just really liked.
Something resonated in you. Yeah. I love that idea. I'll tell people sometimes now, if I had the choice, I'll tell young guys, if I had the choice of taking a church or starting a church, I'd start it 10 times out of 10.
It gets in your blood. I guarantee you drive by a place and you think, oh, someone could start a church there.
Yes. You see they got the parking, they got the space, they got whatever it takes. So you came out of South Sheridan.
Yeah.
How long were you there serving on staff with Dr. Nelson?
Well, I actually never served at South Sheridan.
Is that right?
I joined their staff as a church planter.
As a church planter. Okay. So you got finished with your graduate work. You moved out here with the idea of let's just go get started with a church.
Yeah.
How old were you?
I was 26.
Is that right? Would you recommend to most 26-year-olds you're ready to go plant a church?
I actually tell guys you can do a lot more than you think.
Yeah.
I think it's us older guys that hold them back. I mean, they've got the drive. They want to do it, but we tell them, oh, you're not old enough.
Sure. You're a sharp guy, though. You can do more. I wasn't ready at 26 personally, I don't think, to be able to go and do
I'm not sure I was ready. It just happened.
I don't think you are ever ready. I think it's a good point. I read so we're getting ready to start the church. I read a book. It was probably about this thick. And I think the title of the book was something like, Yes, But How of Church Planting or something. And it backed you all the way up to like 54 months before the church starts, right? So it's almost 5 years. And I'm reading this book and it's going, hey, at 54 months, do this. And at 48 months, do this. And it intimidated me so much that I finally said, you know what? I don't have 54 months to be able to start this. And what I found, and I wonder if you found the same, there is a season of a baby church. And it's almost like a little fawn getting its legs under it a little bit. You don't have to have every single thing in place, every policy done, every little thing, every dot, of every I. There is a growing up part of the church. So. Did you find that too?
Yeah, definitely. I think, though, that you and I did it differently than what most people are doing today. Most people go in with a staff.
They do. A team.
You got a team of at least 3 pastors.
Yeah.
I just think when you go in as a single guy, I'm going to start this church, and you, praise the Lord, God gave you some people that came with, and I think that is the core that you have to have. But it's different. And so what you did, what I did, it's different than what most of the guys are doing these days.
Would you do it differently now if you had a chance to do it again? Yeah, you'd get more of a team together.
The thing about the team that I didn't like was that it takes longer to become self-sufficient because it just takes more cash to be able to do it. Sure. But I think that people are excited enough about doing it well that you can have people raise the support that they need.
Sure.
And I think if you can start with the staff and have a few programs. So in other words, we've got somebody who can take care of children. The problem is when you do it all by yourself, you have to do it in pieces.
You do.
You can't start everything.
No way around it. Where did you guys meet first? First Sunday, where were you meeting?
We met in a little elementary school called Willow Creek Elementary. So you've heard the Willow Creek Church. I had Willow Creek Baptist Church, and we met there for 2 years. Elementary schools are difficult because they go through seasons, and literally I preached one Sunday with a bat hanging in front of my face. So it was less than ideal, but we grew to about 70 people in that school and moved to a Grange building. And we actually used the Grange building more than the Grange did.
Yeah.
And we were in that building for about 3 years, and then God gave us the property that Highlands was built on, and lots of miracles. You know this.
Yeah.
No church planter can ever build without miracles.
You look back and say, God, if that didn't happen, if you didn't allow that to happen, and you kind of piece it all together.
Yeah.
So you said you grew to about 70 in the school. Church growth experts will tell you that there are growth barriers. And, 60, 70 is one of them. 100 to 120 is one of them. 200 is one. We hit all,
Yeah.
and it's so, it's
you
strange.
stopped at all of them, huh?
Yeah, we stopped at all of them. It's so strange. Why do you think that's true? And what do you do to help go through that? I've got a couple of thoughts about it, but did you hit the growth barriers also?
Definitely. I think that part of it is that people get comfortable in a certain setting. And that's one of the things that really I get real passionate about, is helping God's people to recognize their potential to grow the church. I mean, that's really the church growth mechanism, is God's people.
Yes.
And so if you get into a building and it is 80 to 90 to sometimes 100% full, nobody is looking to, man, we got to grow our church. But you get into a new building and it's like, man, there's nobody here. I think there's excitement levels that go with the new buildings, all different kinds of things. But I think it's more than anything else helping your people see the potential and the need to be reaching people.
Yeah. So you said something really interesting. People, your church people, are the church growth mechanism. What do you mean by that? Because don't we just send out the digital stuff? Can't we just put a video up on Facebook? Let that be the marketing strategy of the church. Why would you say that church people are the church growth mechanism?
Well, you probably have heard the statistic. The majority of people, vast majority, won't stay in a church longer than 6 months if they haven't found at least 5 people in that church that they consider their friends.
Yeah.
And so it is our people that allow people to grow roots in a church. Your programs are important, that ministers to people, but that's not really what holds people. What holds people in a church is when there are people around that become part of their community.
Yes.
And so that's why it is so critical. I do think that churches have a lot more potential to actually reach their neighbors. I don't know that many of us are actually seeing that happen. And that's really part of what the exchange is all about, is helping people to see that potential. But in terms of growth mechanism, your church is never going to grow more than your people are reaching the people that come and visit.
Yeah, but they've got to find that connection. We say at our church a lot, people are not looking for a friendly church. They're looking for friends. And there is a difference between those two things. I mean, friendly church, we don't do this anymore, but back in the day when I was growing up, hey, everybody stand up, shake your neighbor's hand or whatever. And some churches do it, and that's fine. We just, after COVID, we haven't done that since then. But everyone was really good sometimes in churches I've been in the past, and you shake hands and you see each other. But as soon as the service is over, the groups kind of get together, they go get lunch, and they kind of forget all of the newer people. If you don't make a connection, you may like the preaching, you may like the children's ministry or the music or whatever, but if you don't have a connection, at some point you're going to leave. And by the way, the other is also true. You may put up with the preaching.
Yeah.
You may put up with something that's not exactly right, which sometimes church plants, you don't have the quality that maybe another church down the road does, but you make a connection, and that makes a big difference.
It really does. And I feel like the whole idea of being friendly and making friends, two different things. We're in a different church almost every Sunday. And everybody's friendly to me. I'm the speaker. I'm going to, but my wife sometimes, she could literally, if she didn't go find people to talk to, she could go through an entire Sunday with no one saying a word to her.
How did you develop that at your church? I mean, our church is listening. How did you develop that in your church? We've got some really excellent connectors and great guest services teams and host teams. But I feel like that's something you can always do more of and do better at.
Yeah.
How do you develop that in your church?
I think, number one, you're right. It has to be a culture. It has to be something that people just are constantly aware of and want to do. And so that's the baseline, is you have to help your people really want to do that. But Anna, my wife, is quite... she comes up with ideas, and we had a plan that we called Secret Servants, and people would sit in a particular area of the building, because once people get in and sit down, that's where no more connections take place.
Yes.
And so these were people assigned to sit down. They had no badge. And their job was, if someone came into your area, you just be friendly to them. You talk to them. You invite them to lunch afterwards. And what we felt like we were trying to do is find the people that were naturally connectors.
Yes.
And then give them kind of a region in the building to be responsible for.
That's great. We have a lady in our church. I've had several people tell me, and her name is Wanda. And if you're sitting in her section, she's going to let you know, hey, you're in my section and I want to know everyone in my, not that she has a job, but I just sit over here.
Yeah.
And we have hosts, and we don't always put our host in badges because we want them to feel like, okay, and they are normal church members, but we want you just to make sure that you're talking to people and organic conversations and all of that. So it doesn't happen by accident.
Back in the day, if someone came to our church and visited a few weeks, I always went to see them. I mean, it was what pastors did in those days. And I would always hear them say, oh yeah, I met, and they would name a guy named Howard Long.
Mm-hmm.
Howard was just one of those guys that was so friendly.
Yeah.
And he would connect with people. He would ask them to come sit with them. He would take them to dinner afterwards.
Yeah.
And I would always, literally, I never went to anybody's house that they didn't meet Howard. Howard is about 6'5", and he was a big man.
Yeah, couldn't miss him.
And when Howard hugged you, and he was a hugger, you have been hugged, and he was really kind of the centerpiece and part of what helped us build that culture.
Yeah, interesting. We've got 2 or 3 people that on a regular basis, if I talk to a guest like you're talking about, we'll name 1 or 2 or 3 of these people. Yeah. And I just want to stop here for a minute and talk to our church. We are equipping every one of you. We're knighting every one of you. You have the responsibility. We're giving you that charge. We want every person to be that kind of person in our church. That's a culture thing. It's not, a couple people can do it and it doesn't become your culture. But when everyone is on mission with that, and our mission is leading people into a growing relationship with Jesus. And we preach all the time that, listen, it doesn't matter what your role is. You are You may not be preaching the message. You're preparing people to receive the message. You can be working in nursery, and by your kindness and your organization and the way that you took that child, mom can leave now and go sit down and go, oh, my child's taken care of. I don't have to worry. I can listen to what I'm about to listen to. There's a lot of pieces. And what you've heard this stat, people make a decision in the first moments. It's just before the preaching ever happens. Now, the preaching can turn them off and they can choose not to come back then. But before the preaching even starts, sometimes before the music starts, they're deciding, is this a place I could ever come back to again?
Well, and you've heard this before, people who tell you about how did you find Castleview, and they'll say something like this, I walked in the door and knew I was home. Mm-hmm. And there is just something that helps people recognize this is a place where I can feel connected.
Yeah.
I like the word connected better than I like the word comfortable, because there are some uncomfortable moments in church.
Sure.
But the connection is what keeps me there.
That's right. And that doesn't just happen from the platform.
Yeah.
That happens primarily by the way that people are handling them as they come into the doors.
Absolutely.
So you started in that school. You were there for about 2 years.
Yeah.
And where did you go from there?
We went to a Grange building, and back in Inverness Office Park, way back in the back part of that area, it was a new building. The Grange building in that area had been torn down because I-25 was expanded, and they built them a new building, but it was way in the back. Yeah. We had to put signs up to get people to find it. But it was a perfect place for us, a little incubator for our little church to grow.
Yeah. Did you find it hard to get people to visit the school?
Yeah.
I know we did. People going, we don't want to be in the church that's not going to be here in a year, the startups. And we had a lot of people say, listen, we loved the church, but we don't really want to set up chairs every week and be mobile.
We really didn't grow past 80 until we got our building.
Till you got your building. Sure.
What happened in the Grange building was that church matured into a family.
Sure.
Up until then, it was just a bunch of people meeting for preaching, and it was there that we really grew into a family.
Okay. And then you all built a beautiful building there at Highlands Baptist. What year was that? How many years in were you when you got in your first building?
We built the building in the 5th year of our ministry.
Wow.
So God just did a lot of amazing things. Yeah,
that's miraculous.
We were given the property. It was in the day 1987, I think. It was valued at $1.25 million.
Wow. It's right on a main road. You can't miss it.
Yeah. And it was a gift. It was total. Nobody paid a penny for that.
Wow.
And then the people who gave it to us actually helped us develop the property. And so we ended up having to build the building itself. But in those days, it was so much less expensive. I mean, I think we put the building up for less than $500,000.
Wow. It's amazing. And did you do it in phases? Auditorium first? Or?
No, we built a 2-story structure with the auditorium on top.
Got it.
It was just the whole structure was there, but it was unfinished upstairs.
Sure.
And then we built our Awana Circle downstairs, and that became our first little auditorium.
Got it.
And then as we filled that up, we finished the upstairs.
Sure. Okay. So you ended up pastoring Highlands Baptist for how many years?
26 years.
26.
So I tell people I was 26 when I started it, and I pastored for 26 years. So I'm going to do this for the next 26 years and see what happens after that.
Well, tell us about what this is now. You've started a ministry called The Exchange.
Yes.
And was that a surprise, by the way, to your church when you got ready?
It was a surprise to me.
Was it really? How did that happen? So just as a little bit of a background, and you'll tell us a little bit more about it. You go and equip churches to give the gospel. You've done it at our church. You've sat down. We have several sessions, and you equip people to give the gospel. How did that start? Was it at a missions conference that started? What happened to say, you know what, I'm going to leave the church that I love, that I founded, we started, we're in a building, things are going great, I'm going to go do something else?
It was actually the tools that we built for our church that began to be successful. It was actually effectively reaching people. And as I developed those tools and was asked to go speak in places and help other people use the same tools, that I began to realize this is something that could really impact people. In 2001, I was asked to go to Singapore to train a church there, and I took 5 of our lay people with me, and we did the in those days, we called it a soul winning conference. And that little church really took off and grew because they understood the lay people were the ones who should and could be reaching their coworkers, their neighbors. And as I watched that happen, it just started ticking in my brain. I wonder if we began to equip lay people around the world to be able to do this, what would happen? And that's really the beginning place in my brain. And as we developed the tools and begin to help our people at Highlands begin to use those tools, it just said, man, I think I have to leave here and I have to go do this. I've never considered myself anything but a pastor, but I feel like the pastor's job is to equip the people to do it. We tell people that you should be making disciples,
right?
But we don't always equip them to do it. And so that was really what the exchange was all about, trying to help people to be able to.
Love that. So needed. You were so helpful to our church. And by the way, you've been doing it for a long time.
Right? 16 years now.
16 years you've been traveling with the exchange. I would like our church to hear this, and then I want to get into a little bit of the gospel and how we can be more effective givers of the gospel. Our church has a family in it, the Rogers family.
Yeah.
Mike, Renee, the kids, great people and faithful members now. They've been with us for a number of years. We couldn't love them more. Just a great, great family. And they came to Christ through you. Can you just maybe give us a little bit of a background to that, or what happened, or how did that come about?
Well, it's actually a longer story than I probably should tell. Michael's coworker was saved in our church, and her husband was close friends to the family, and he got a brain tumor and died. Michael came to the funeral, and at the funeral, I read from Van, the man who died.
Mm-hmm.
I read from his Bible study, because we had done the Bible study with him. He trusted Christ. How Van said, "I know I'm on my way to heaven."
Mm.
And Michael came up to me after the funeral and he said, "I had no idea. I didn't know you could know." He said, and I said, "Michael, would you be interested in doing the same Bible study that Van did that brought him to this knowledge?"
Yeah.
And so we did the Bible study with Michael and Renee. It took us 4 months to get it done. They were very, very busy. We were busy just trying to find times to connect. And I actually, along the way, wondered, is this one going to take?
Yeah, sure.
But the last time we met in lesson 4, the Bible study itself kind of gives an invitation. And Michael said, "Yeah, I want to do that."
Wow.
And both Michael and Renee trusted Christ that night. Both of them got baptized. I remember telling Michael, the next step for you is to come to church. And his friend Mary Ellen was a part of our church still. I said, "You'll know Mary Ellen." And he said, "Well, I know you now. I'll just come and hang out with you." And I just thought that was really helpful for me to see that the Bible study gives you those relational tools that kind of just bring you close to people.
Yeah. When you talk about the Bible study, are you talking about the 4-week Bible study? It took you 4 months or so to get through that with
it. Was
just
4 lessons.
To get together. Sure. 4 lessons.
But it took us like once a month we did it.
You taught us that when you came through. And I had a man that was attending the church. And they ended up moving to Tennessee, but I had a man that was attending the church and I was burdened for him and we were having some conversations. But you left after that and I said, "You know what? Hey, why don't we go through this 4 weeks?" And he agreed to it. And so we started working through that. And I think it was actually the 3rd week. We sat down and we were getting lunch together that day. And I called him by name and I said, "Hey, what holds you back? I mean, what are the challenges or what are the questions you have?" And he said, "We've been talking about this. Nothing holds me back." And we prayed right there at that restaurant and he received Christ. And it was just a really cool experience. My wife and I had gone to dinner with he and his wife when they first started coming to the church. She knew the Lord. He didn't know the Lord. His mom had passed away years ago and he struggled with the idea that, well, I don't believe my mom knew Jesus. If she's not going to be in a heaven, well, I don't know if that's what I want, right? He struggled with it. Yeah. And that really helped me to walk through your study and just give him a very simple but clear presentation of the gospel.
Well, guys, that was the half of the episode, the first half of the episode. And next week, I'm going to drop the second half of the episode for you guys. Hope that it's a blessing to you. I know it was a blessing to me. Be praying with us as always as we pray to the Lord of the harvest that he would send forth laborers. We can be authentically and genuinely holding to the truths of Scripture without compromise and be effective in evangelism today in America. And so we want to encourage you guys to keep doing that and pray. The harvest is white and plentiful. It's just the laborers that are few. God bless you guys. We are praying for you. See you next week.